U.S. military says it fired an airstrike into southern Somalia this week during a battle between U.S. and Somali government troops and Al-Shabaab fighters. The airstrike killed 9 militants. The U.S. military's Africa Command, AFRICOM, says the strike was carried out on Monday, approximately 40 kilometers northeast of the city of Kismayo, which is in the southern part of the country. A statement from AFRICOM said no civilians were injured or killed in this airstrike. Efforts by the United States, European Union, and the African Union peacekeeping force, AMISOM, is geared to help and defend Somalia's central government against the Islamist militants. Now, for more on U.S. airstrike in Somalia, VOA Pentagon correspondent Carla Babb joins me live via Skype from the U.S. military headquarters at the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. Carla, thank you for joining us. The U.S. has carried about 20 or more airstrikes in Somalia against Al-Shabaab militants. Does AFRICOM feel confident that this latest airstrike is going to make any significance?
Well, Esther, they do. That's what they're telling Voice of America. You mentioned more than 20. They've had 24 airstrikes conducted so far this year. They say that that has killed 100 enemy combatants in those strikes. And they say that the focus and the goal of these strikes is to prevent Al-Shabaab from recruiting and training and then plotting attacks. And so they say that this, coupled with last year's strikes, last year there were more than 30 strikes that killed about 200 enemy combatants. One of those was hitting a training camp. And so they say that they're on the lookout to prevent Al-Shabaab from grouping up and then carrying out these attacks. And even though you do see attacks, they say that the focus is preventing the recruiting and the training, and they are successful in that.
Now, Carla, just yesterday, as we've mentioned in the news, the Islamist militants targeted a European Union convoy. Does AFRICOM feel that there's a concern here, especially for Western nationals in Somalia?
Right. Well, of course, any time that there is an attack, the U.S. military is very concerned. Do they think that Al-Shabaab is seeking out Westerners for attacks? That's too soon to say, but clearly, Al-Shabaab has been targeting Westerners for years, so this really isn't anything new. But what the United States wants to focus on is preventing future attacks, and that's through the training of the Somali forces.
So when you look at reports such as one saying that the militants are training they're recruiting and training more Al-Shabaab fighters, they are also performing military exercises. As far as AFRICOM is concerned, do they think that Al-Shabaab is expanding its base in Somalia? And does this combined effort of the U.S. airstrikes, the European Union, and even AFRICOM helping in any way to control this group?
Well, Esther, let's be clear. Let's look at the reports from the south just over the last few days. You can see Al-Shabaab has taken several towns. So Al-Shabaab is still clearly a major threat in Somalia. But what they're focusing on, the United States is focusing on keeping the African Union troops in Somalia. There are more than 20,000 of these African Union soldiers there. And the United States says that while the Somali government and the Somali military are trying their best to fight Al-Shabaab, they're not yet strong enough to take on this threat on their own. And so they point to some expanded strikes in Kenya. They look to their ally, Kenya, and say, look, you need to take care of this problem at its source in Somalia. Don't let it creep out into your country and have even bigger problems as well. So the United States continues to push this with its allies. In fact, there's going to be a AFRICOM Senior Enlisted Leaders Conference coming up later this month. VOA is going to have exclusive access to that conference. I will be attending in Germany, and we will get you more information as we get it in.
Carla, many thanks to you. We'll look forward to that report as well. VOA's Carla Babb reporting live via Skype from the Pentagon.